Hello, Red Wave. Welcome to Bulldogs podcast. My name is Caleb Nail. Joining me, the other Caleb, Mr. Pletz. Caleb Pletz, how are you, my friend? How was the weekend? I know it's a rough one, but before we get there, and while we let people join in, how was the weekend?
Overall, weekend was nice. You know, the rain's a little bit different. I'm glad it wasn't a heavy rain. You know, that's good. And, I'm glad that wasn't raining during the game. That would have made it even more miserable. But, yeah, overall it was nice. I went to the Aaron Judge and Coach Bates' little jersey retirement ceremony today. So I enjoyed that. It was, a nice time, honoring both those men. So, yeah, overall it was a good weekend.
Oh, I'm glad you had that time to recover and get over. Reminder, if you're just joining us, or this is the first time, because as Randall Buller says, he's correct. Misery loves company. And Bulldogs Bob says, we need each other. This is a tough time for us. It's very true. While you were doing all those things, Caleb, I've been at home sick. So I didn't even go to the game because yeah, it was awful. I was not feeling well. I gave my tickets to my brother, and he took some people. Didn't even take a girl. That's his problem. But I give him the opportunity. So I apologize now of coughing, and if you see snot rolling down the screen, things like that. I'm sorry. But that's what I did, and so it didn't get much better. So this is my time, Caleb, to get it all out now. I'm really excited. And just so everyone knows, if you are a player or a coach, you might want to turn this off now. I'm not saying I'm going to say anything bad, but there's things that are going to be said in this episode that some people may not appreciate. So there's your warning, your content warning there that we have to have these days in today's world. What else? Oh, yeah. Where are you listening from? Randall's in the car going from SoCal to Tahoe. Oh, nice. I mean, I don't know why you're going to Tahoe, but I can only guess why you're going to Tahoe. And Tahoe's a great place. And let us know what you're drinking. I got some Givali River Love. The River Love is a sweet Barbera wine, dessert wine. I think it goes good with hard times, and it goes well with any celebratory food or anything like that. So if you're celebrating, it's good, and if you're depressed, it's good as well. So, all right. Bulldogs Bob adds, players don't deserve any pity. So many missed tackles, and getting their ass kicked by New Mexico isn't something that coaches can do. Now that is true. We are going to get to your reactions. We have voicemails. We're going to go over the numbers, and then we're going to get to play of the game and player of the game if we can even do that. This might be the first time I just give a player of the game to a New Mexico player because there's no one else I can give it to. This is bad, Caleb. This was real. What were we doing?
It was so bad that I don't even know how you explain it, except for really looking ahead to conference championship or to next week, or not being motivated. I really don't know. This did not seem like the performance of a Jeff Tedford coach team.
No, but Caleb, this is 2 games in a row. I never turn off Fresno State football games. 2 times in a row this year, I did. San Jose State after the pick 6, and then this year, about when they scored that touchdown and there wasn't much going to happen, I turned it off for a little bit, and then I said, you know what, I have to talk about this. I need to turn it back on. And I turned it back on, and we were kicking the field goals. Oh, my gosh, we have a chance. Yeah. It was bad, though. It was bad. And so the reason I say that is I think we've been out coached twice. We said all season that we trust the coaches. We have a great coaching staff. And yes, we do have a great coaching staff. But my goodness, 2 games in a row, I saw no adjustments from the defense. This is what I don't understand, Kim. We did fine stopping the run at the first half of the season. Then we go play San Jose State. We can't stop the run. And we make no adjustments in that game. And then we come out flat against New Mexico, no energy, nothing. They run all over us, no adjustments again, and they continue to just destroy us on the ground. It's unacceptable on the defense and from the coaching staff. You have to make adjustments. Zero adjustments.
So do you put this more on bad defense or bad offense? Because I think against New Mexico, Fresno State should be able to score 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns wins this game. And Fresno State was not able to do that. They had 6 3-and-outs in a row, if I'm reading this game log correctly. So that was after we went touchdown, missed field goal, touchdown, and then 6 3-and-outs in a row. So I think a lot has to be on the offense here. Like, how do you not figure out how to move the ball on this team that's 3-7 and not a ton of hope there? But credit to New Mexico, they were fired up and they played hard.
Yeah, and Andrew makes a good point. There's too many injuries at key positions. Spomer was out. Mm-hmm. I saw Ugwu in at left tackle. I don't know if he was in there all game, but he was in there for most of the game. And then, you play Logan Fife, and we were up 14-3. So really, to me, there's no excuse. So you're right. How do we have success early on in the game? We scored 2 touchdowns. Logan Fife had a great run for a touchdown, and then we're not able to do a single thing the rest of the game. You're right, and Andrew, I agree with you too. You can't outcoach when you're injured, but at the same time, we got to win, and so whoever's on the field is it's next man up, and it showed the lack of depth that we have, and it was not good. Not good at all. Let's get to some voicemails really quick. By the way, I should say the final score. 25-17. Lobos over the Dogs. Gosh. I saw in the chat. It was when was the last time we lost to New Mexico? I think it was 1994 was the last time we lost to New Mexico. So in my lifetime, I had never seen us lose to New Mexico.
Yep.
This was the first time I've ever seen us lose to New Mexico. Brutal. But Boise's thanking us. I know that's a Boise fan. I see him. I see Bill on some things. Bill's a good guy, but Boise is thanking us right now. They still have a shot at the Mountain West Championship. It's crazy. So Boise fans, I'm not going to say they're Fresno fans, but they are thanking us right now.
Yeah, definitely. The fact that Boise has a chance to appear in the Mountain West Championship game after firing their head coach is hilarious, and also just really frustrating as a Fresno State fan, because it just shows, that's a team that they didn't think they were going in the right direction. And then because of some other circumstances that were outside of their control, they're, back in contention. And, maybe they'll just hire the interim coach after this because he leads them to a conference championship. That might be okay for Fresno State fans if that happens.
Okay. Bulldogs Bob says New Mexico beat us in the 2020 COVID season. And then Randall adds, they hadn't won in Fresno since 94. They hadn't won a game in November, and I did see this stat. Yeah. Since 2016. Unbelievable. Don't make me laugh, guys. Oh, man. Okay. All right, let's get to the voicemails really quick because after a loss, we get the most responses on social media. I wish we get this many responses after a win, but, I'm a firm believer that it's harder to say things after a win because you say the good things and that's it. When things go bad, they really go bad, and you could just go ahead and list them all off. So, anyways, all right, here we go. And if there's 4-letter words in here, I'm just warning you. There are. some. So here's your warning.
Nicholas calls from San Francisco, California. Are we surprised? Should we be surprised? This is the exact same team that we saw against Wyoming. This is the exact same team that we saw against Eastern Washington. This is the exact same team that we just saw against San Jose State. So should we be surprised? Hell no, we shouldn't be surprised. It has been nothing but luck this entire season. This team peaked against Nevada, and it has done nothing but downhill since then. So should we sit here and be upset? No. We controlled our own destiny, and of course we fucked that up, right? Because that is what we have done time and time again, especially when we have a team that can take us further than we've ever gone. So why am I sitting here pissed off, leaving this voicemail? Because it is the exact same thing. The fact that we have offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators that are worth up to $2 million putting up shit performances. And this is all we get to show for it. We need to make some major changes. We need to turn this program around because I don't care what anybody says. Doesn't matter about the wins or losses right now, or the wins or losses in the column, because this season has been a complete and utter failure. What more do we need to say besides folks are going?
It cut out at 2 minutes. Or right before 2 minutes, but there was more, but it just cut out. So I'm sorry. I don't know what else was said, but I can't say I disagree with him. But what do you think, Caleb? He says things need to change. What do you think needs to change?
That's a hard question.
By the way, thank you for calling.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Nicholas. I definitely don't think it's, I don't think we need to change head coach or coordinators. I think that's an overreaction. I do think that Coach Coyle knows what he's doing. And I think that Pat McCann is still learning how to be an offensive coordinator. So there's going to be some growing pains there. I think that personnel-wise, this team maybe just doesn't have the star power to take over a game. I think we can confidently say that about the quarterback position. We don't have a Jake Haener or even Marcus McMarron who can take over a game or at least control a game in a way that we're going to run the offense and we can put up enough points. So I think that has kind of been exposed with the Fresno State offense is that we don't have a quarterback that can take over and dominate.
I'm going to add O-line.
Yeah.
If something has to change, it has to be O-line. And I don't care what it is. You could say whatever you want about, what needs to change. Something has to change on the O-line because this is, I don't even remember the last time we had a great O-line. It's been a long time. Ever since we've been doing this, we've been talking about O-line, Caleb. Yeah, Andrew's right. Jake covered up a lot of flaws last year. All right, I got one more for you.
Hey, fellas, this is Bulldogs Bob, and love your show. And I just want to say that online and on the blackboard, you're seeing calls for people who want to see Tedford go, step down, whatever. And I just want to say, cool your jets, people. Cool your jets, okay? That is utterly stupid. Since this guy's gotten here, Fresno State has won 10 games a year, 4 times since he gotten here. So, and we can win 10 games this year again, still. I don't know what we're supposed to be rebuilding here. So, just cool it. We're not going to get any better. He's a great coach. Just remember that. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. I agree. I agree with what Bob said, and I agree with what you said earlier, Caleb. There's no reason for us to move on yet from any coordinator, in Tedford especially, and people that are calling for Tedford. Now, my question is, who are you going to bring in? Who?
Right.
So I don't even think we really need to have a conversation about Tedford's job. He's safe. Winning 10 games is great. Losing to New Mexico is completely terrible and unacceptable, in my opinion. Definitely unacceptable. You're going to have a conversation about that, and we are. I sure hope they're looking in the mirror right now. So, but I agree. 10 wins are still on the table. No reason to call for anybody. I just wish, here's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see a coaching staff that is willing to change, right? So what I mean by that is, if mid-game, is Coyle willing to change to a different scheme defensively? Is McCann willing to, or I should say, is Tedford willing to change quarterbacks earlier in the game? And we're going to get to some comments that I saw that I definitely agree with, and talk about quarterback position, who should have started, and things like that. But I mean, Tedford's a great coach. He's fine. I would like to see a coaching staff that is willing to change mid-game and adjust, because it doesn't seem like that. It seems like we're kind of stuck in our old ways, almost kind of stubborn. Am I wrong, or what do you think?
I think that's part of that. I do think it comes back to the players, though, at least in terms of run defense. Fresno State gave up over 300 rushing yards, which is absurd. Is it just that we're outmanned and game planned, that there wasn't anything that our defense could do to stop it? I don't know. I don't know the X's and O's that well, but I mean, at some point, if they're just lining up and kicking you in the teeth, what else are you supposed to do if they're just out efforting you? I don't know if that's something that coaches can change, or I mean, because I know that a lot of players on that defense, most of them are playing their hearts out, but if they're just outmanned, I mean, I don't know what else you can ask them to do.
I mean, I think you at least put 5 defensive linemen out there, or you put 3 linebackers. I mean, we moved our safety down to play linebacker a couple times. I saw Dean, or we'd blitz Dean on the outside. They weren't beating us outside. They're beating us between the tackles. Shoot, between the guards. So they're beating us through the A gap. And this, like, you're not supposed to get beat that way, for at least for 300 yards. So those are the adjustments that I'd like to see. Squeeze the guys, make them beat you outside, or make them beat you a different way. Let's put it that way. If I don't know anything. I don't know what was going on with Ray Scott, but you said you saw helmet off the entire game, away from the team. We don't know what was going on. Some guys are going over and talking to him, yelling at him, maybe, I don't know. But that's when, like, somebody has to be the leader there and get Ray Scott right, because we needed him this game, and he let his team down. He did. And I'm ticked if I'm his teammate, because in my opinion, we need another big-time linebacker that could go hit somebody to plug those holes. And when you have a guy doing that on the sideline, that's unacceptable. And so, yes, I don't know. I'm frustrated, as you could tell, but I'm going to get to you guys right now.
There you go.
Let's get to you. Let's get to the Twitter and Instagram real quick, Caleb, and then we can get to sponsors and then talk numbers. So we have the Sideline Sports Network. So the nice thing about this game, Caleb, not the nice thing, but the FS1, we're on national television. We have people from all over the country watching. Sideline Sports Network jumps in. Have to get better in the trenches, both sides of the ball, but especially the D-line. So people all over the country see exactly what we're all seeing. The trenches need help bad at Fresno State. Timothy Bailey of the College Football Dogs show, he said, wow, they blew that lead. Yes, they did. Single-use plastic. I'm not blaming a bunch of 19 to 22-year-old kids for having an off night. We have been teetering on the edge most of the year, hoping the injury bug would miss us. Unfortunately, it's infected key positions at the worst possible time. I hope McCann makes a creative leap this offseason. 100%. I totally agree. There has to be a creative leap. Kevin, I don't even know what to say. I agree with that. I have no idea what to say. What were we doing? I don't know. Matt, Now, it looks a lot more like the rebuild we were expecting. But even in a rebuild year, we should never lose to New Mexico as 24-point favorites. What happened to our defense this year? Let's talk about that. What happened to our defense? We were talking at the beginning of the season, or I was talking about, and now I look not smart, that this defense was going to be one of the, at least number one defense in the Mountain West, competing for top defense in the nation. And I'm not afraid to say that a lot of us thought that way. We have a lot of returners, good players. Lavelle, Cam Lockridge, Carlton Johnson, Maurice Norris. I could go down the list. But we just did not perform well. What do you think about the question, what happened to our defense this year?
I think losing Lockridge has hurt. I think that Hamilton is getting better, but he's still a young player, and our opponents are targeting him because they know that he's younger. Carlton is, a very good corner. So I think that losing Lockridge has hurt, and not really have a dominant pass rusher on the defensive line. There's no David Perales where he can take over the game and beat his man and even beat a double team if he needs to try to influence the quarterback. So I think not having a dominant go-to pass rusher who has to draw a double team, I think that is really hurting this team too. Because at this point, I don't know who the opposing O-line is keying in. I don't think they're having to double anyone. They can just have their guys go straight up against our D-line and be okay. So I think that those are the two main, reasons there.
I agree. I was hoping Devo would be that guy this year.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe somebody else that we didn't know about, but yeah, we struggled to rush the passer, create havoc in the backfield, anything. Phil R., this team has looked like they have gotten worse as the year went on. 2 weeks in a row holding your own destiny and got completely embarrassed. Horrible. It's true. You'd like to see teams get better as the season progresses. I make fun of my brother because his senior basketball team in high school was the only basketball team I've ever seen get worse throughout the season. And we tease him about that to this day. Yes, there's injuries, but you would hope guys are getting better, and we didn't get better. That's for sure. PZ, we overestimated our potential in this rebuilding year at the start of the season, but the inability to move the ball last night was crazy. Lack of offense led to defense on the field too much, which led to a disappointing result. Dust off and hit San Diego State next week. Yep. Gonna have to. Larry Farnsworth. Sorry, I fell asleep again. Games are too late on the East Coast. That's true. Disappointing, yes. Yes, but come on, people. We've already won 8 games. We're going to play in a bowl game. These are college kids trying to play football. Winning at a high level is hard. We'll be all right. Go Dogs. This leads me to a question that, I think a lot of people are wondering, and that, or at least you get the idea of when people talk about Fresno State football, and that is expectations, right? We've talked about expectations a lot this year and how I have ridiculously high expectations for Fresno State football, for my siblings, and which is bad, but for a lot of things. But what do you think is the expectation year in and year out of Fresno State football?
Yeah, this is a good question. And I know our friend Gabe Camarillo was talking about this on his show and on Twitter too. So I do think that Fresno State fans have been spoiled the last couple of years with, Jake Haener being a really solid quarterback who can cover some flaws like we mentioned earlier in the show. So I think generally speaking, if Fresno State wins 8 games and is in the hunt for the conference championship, I think that is a great season. Granted, I would love to go undefeated every year, and I think that in conference we should be able to go 8-0 or 7-1, and like I said, at very minimum, be in the hunt for a conference championship. So before this season, we have very high expectations coming off of last year. So this probably seems like a letdown to a lot of people, which I can totally see that. But I guess if you zoom out and you say, okay, this team is still, top 3 program in the conference, probably. We have a head coach who is committed to the university, not going to bounce to a bigger, better job. And for the most part, this team competes and should be in the hunt every year. So I think that our expectations are being met. We've just been kind of spoiled lately.
Yeah. Andrew puts it, I think, in words, or at least typing it out. There it is. Yeah. Win 10 plus and be in the hunt for a championship and a New Year's Six bid. That's my expectation every year. And the other thing I will add, my expectation is that we should beat New Mexico. Or we should not lose to New Mexico. I'm nothing like adjusting expectation at year's end. Yeah, exactly. I think the reason this one hurts the most is because it's New Mexico. 23.5 point favorite. You want to get technical. There's no reason we should win. My expectation is to win that game. We lost. So as a whole, as a season, sure, we're going to be there. But before the season, I would say we're going to get a tough one against Purdue. Purdue turned out to be a bad team this year. It's a decent win, but Big Ten team, if we lose, we lost to a Big Ten team. And then somewhere in there, we lose to Wyoming, Boise, another school that we're expected to lose. I don't know if I want to say expected to lose to, but a good team, right? Not to New Mexico. My expectation is we win those games.
Yeah.
However, we always lose one of those games, so maybe I should come back to reality because we do lose one of those games every year.
Yep.
I'd like for us not to. Okay. Curtis Haar, when you can't stop the run, you have no chance. Very true. No real adjustments to defensive scheme from last week. Yep. Running backs are getting 7+ yards before being touched. A very disappointing finish to what looked like a special kind of season. 100% agree. Safeties played so deep. Okay, I'll move on. I'll keep going. Nick, obviously frustrating, but it was easy to tell early in the season this wasn't a New Year's Six team. We played weaker teams and barely escaped a lot. Next year, QB will have more experience and hopefully defense gets better. It's going to be interesting on the defense side of the ball because we're losing some pieces on defense. Offensively, yeah, people are returning, but we just got to figure it out. And the season's not over yet, but I think the biggest question is going to be who's going to be the starter if everybody stays. Who else we got? Moody, out-coached back-to-back games, out-hustled, outplayed. WTF. Fresno State Red Wave. The team showed all season these losses were possible, but it's still tough for the fans. The Power 5 teams they lose almost every week. 2 overtimes to beat Eastern Washington. UNLV gave them a win. Not a real good team, honestly. QBs aren't anything special. The bowl they go to will be appropriate. And then a question from this guy. That's his name. Why does everyone in the Mountain West Conference have a better run game than us? Simple answer. Offensive line.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's something that I was talking about last night or my dad was actually mentioning just how deep the running back room is. And especially with next season, the kid from Central Valley Christian, I think Donaldson is his name, who looks like a stud. And just with him and, Malik still has eligibility. You still have Arsenault and Rivers and Brandon Ramirez. I want to see him, but where are all these guys going to fit on the field? So, yeah, definitely interesting thinking about that position group going forward.
George Crawford adds, honestly, surprised. He's surprised. Didn't think we would ever compete in the Mountain West this year, mostly because of our offensive and defensive line, which in the end is the reason we lost. Defensive line and offensive line were absolute trash this season. Then real quick, I'll get through Instagram. Well, from Greg, I guess the clock struck midnight on us. And I think this is Randall Buller. Are we a bad team? He asks.
Oof, that's a tough question. At this point, our team has performed poorly. It's kind of like you're not a bad person. You just made a bad decision. I think we can kind of apply that logic here to this team. I don't think it's a bad team. And there's been several convincing wins this year, granted against maybe opponents that are weaker, but I don't think this is a bad team, but definitely some bad games, bad performances.
We were a bad team in 2 games this year. San Jose State and New Mexico. And honestly, probably Eastern Washington. Lateness monster, poor all-around game plan, completely played down to the level of competition. Diego hunting slugs. LOL. All I have to say. I need to drink. V. Rodriguez says that was just hard to watch for our final game in Bulldog Stadium. Rough way to end. M. Saul says the Dogs were 2 steps from being great, but they couldn't turn the corner. Tough to play with all those injuries. Cody Benbow says, still love these Dogs, but this is the biggest letdown of a season in a long time. Our defense getting gashed on the ground was inexcusable. 0 heart. And R. Harris asks, do we have a defensive line?
It certainly didn't look like it when New Mexico is averaging 10 yards a carry, or at least the main back was averaging 10 yards per carry, which is absurd. And like one of the comments mentioned, we weren't getting contact on the running back until he was 7 yards past the line of scrimmage. So definitely there just isn't, we don't have a go-to guy to clean up the run. That's something that Evan Williams was awesome at the last 3 years. And so I shouldn't be comparing this team to past teams, but that's a piece that is missing. We don't have a go-to cleanup guy. I think that Lavelle and Langley both played really well last night. Maybe really well is an exaggeration. They played well. I'll say that, with doing the best they can to try to clean up what the D-line couldn't.
Oh, they're going to have to. If they have an off night, we're done for. Yeah. We got to figure things out. And that's why I bring up, and I may sound like a broken record, is if our D line can't stop them, why don't we have more guys behind our D line? Why are we bringing down a safety?
Yeah.
I mean, the first play from scrimmage, we put Comstock in man coverage. I don't know if Dean was supposed to be over the top or not, but Comstock was in man coverage, and he got burned. And Dean wasn't there to save him. And immediately from the first play, oh man, this is not going to go well. And so my thought, why is Comstock in man coverage? Well, he's there. He's supposed to hit people and help us stop the run. That's what I would rather have Comstock coming downhill than Dean, to be honest. I don't know. Some people may have different opinions on that, but we're not supposed to have Comstock in man coverage, even with a safety over the top, because it didn't work. So, yeah, let's get to some positives in here. Let's pay the bills here. He's also a liability overall in coverage, but he's a great guy. I agree. He may have helped us at the quarterback position this year. If he stayed at quarterback.
That would have been quite the story.
Yeah, right. All right, I already mentioned them once, and Chris Lake is enjoying them already, but go check out Givoli Winery. If you guys need wine, check out our favorite local winery, Givoli on Biola, just north of Shaw. I had my brother Cole, do a read for them on the basketball episode, and he did a great job. Cole, I'm not hiding anything. Cole was the winemaker there, and he made some good wine. But if you would like to try Cole's wine or some other wines, head out to Givoli Saturdays and Sundays, noon to 5, and on weekdays by appointment only. You can email them at givoliwinery@gmail.com to let them know you're coming. or you can call them. You can head to their website, givelywinery.com, and you can see everything that's going on, their calendar of events, and put it in the calendar now. December 10th, tomorrow I'm putting up the link. December 10th is bucket golf at the winery. So get your friends together, and we're going to go play bucket golf December 10th. Check-in is at 10 a.m., and tee off is at 10:30. It's December. Might be kind of cold, but we're going to get going. And we're going to bring your own club, by the way, and be ready to compete against Mr. Pletz, because this guy is pretty good at golf. I'm terrible, but this guy can play. But if you have wine in you, it makes everything better. There will be wine and pizza to purchase, as well as a Christmas vendor fair will be going on at Gively Winery that they're putting together. So there's going to be a lot of things going on, and we're going to be working with Learfield on it. So hopefully we get some, people from Fresno State out there as well. So tell all your friends, bring your family. There's things for the ladies if they're not into golf. There's going to be a Christmas vendor fair. They're going to have a bunch of stuff. It's going to be a fun time. That's December 10th. Also, a big shout out to Eastie's Wood Shop. Eastie's Wood Shop is here for the holidays. You need to go check them out. Eastie's Wood Shop, they have custom woodworking and all your home decor needs. Let them bring your ideas to life. Go to shopew.store to send them a message. You can tell them exactly what you're thinking, and they'll make it for you. They also, not only do they do woodworking, but they have metal engraving. They'll etch into glass. They do all of that. And you can see their line of personalized gifts for this holiday season as well. Use code BEWARE for 15% off your first purchase. That's shopew.store. Use code BEWARE for 15% off your first purchase. All right, Caleb, let's get to some numbers and we'll talk. I think we just talked as a program as a whole right now, but excuse me, let's talk about the team and the stats and all the numbers. So Logan Fife gets a start in this game. He goes 9 for 16, 125 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, and he did get sacked once. Mikey Keene then comes in. They say to give the team a spark. He goes 8 for 13 in the short time that he was in for 58 yards, and he was sacked once. What did you see from the quarterbacks? What's your thought on all of that? And then we'll start with that, and then we'll get to other things.
Mikey definitely didn't provide a spark. His first throw was at the receiver's ankles. He had one tipped after that. It wasn't great. Granted, it's really bizarre that if Mikey was healthy enough to play, why is he not starting this game? I think I think a lot of people were wondering that, and it doesn't really make sense. Granted, Coach Tedford in the post-game interview, he said that he cleared the protocol on Thursday. So, lack of preparation or practice, I guess. But if he's your starter and he has command of the offense, why are you not putting him out there? So I think that's a big question mark there. And putting him in that late in the game, it seems a little suspect. I would have rather seen Jaden Mandel just say, "Hey, what can you do, kid? Like, go out and throw it." At least we know Mandel has a strong arm, and Mikey, he's still just struggling to drive the ball. So maybe that's combination of knee and ankle and head injury that's hurting his performance there. But yeah, really strange in terms of personnel for the quarterback position.
I agree. And I skipped this one, but I'm going to bring it up. Drip Dropping on Twitter says Mikey Keene was dressed and cleared, but didn't start. Why? Because, and then he answers his question. Because coaches thought New Mexico was an easy win. Unprepared and unmotivated coaching. Interesting take there. I mean, and to be honest, that's what it looked like. If you're starting Fife, you're saying he's good enough to beat New Mexico. We're just going to let Keene rest, right? And this is what I said. That's the same thing I said. There's no if Keene's not 100%, leave him out. Let Fife play. Don't put him in. Don't put Keen in. If that's the case, let Fife play the entire game, because then you get this conversation that the entire Red Wave is having right now. Why would you do that? So, either start Keen or play Fife the entire game until he can't go, and then play Mandel. That's what I would do.
Yeah, and I think it was also frustrating that we didn't see Fife running a whole lot. He had the one scramble touchdown. Besides that, I can't really remember any noteworthy play where he was running the ball, and that's one of his strengths. I mean, he's a physical guy. He's quick, and he can make things happen when he's running. So that's frustrating. I guess if that's not part of Coach McCann's kind of game plan and philosophy, it's probably not going to happen then. But it seems like we would have had we would have had a better shot at winning this game if we get our quarterback in space and he can make plays, because just handing the ball up the middle, that wasn't working, and not being able to throw the ball effectively, that wasn't happening. So yeah, just overall frustrating.
Yeah, I have an idea. Okay, I have an idea. So the O-line can't block, right?
Yep.
Okay. So you might as well let the DN come free at you and run a read option. Let Logan, if he's running full speed at you, pull it and run, or force him to make a decision. He's not going to block. He's going to come at you anyways. You might as well run an option. Oh man. Okay. Anyways, that's my thought on that. You can't put yourself. I think the coaches did this to themselves by putting Mikey Keene in at the end, saying, "Oh, he's completely fine," and now we're having all this conversation about quarterbacks and things like that. Mm-hmm. You know who this may sound mean, but do you know what the quarterbacks remind me of at Fresno State?
Tell me.
Star Wars stormtroopers. We can't hit the broadside of a barn. What? Mikey comes in and throws it at his ankle. His first pass is at his ankles. His second snap, it's a sack. The third one, I think, is underthrown again. And then the next possession, it's tipped, and he throws it low to Eric Brooks. But Eric Brooks made a nice catch. Just thinking, he obviously is not healthy. His ankle is bad. He can't throw off. He can't step into his throw. His ankle's really hurting him, or his head is really hurting him. Something is wrong. Get him out. Fife, he's underthrown guys too, but at least he can get the ball there. But we're not using Fife to his strengths at all. We need to be doing that. And so, Fife should be in goal line situations with Gilliam. That's probably about it. But, he struggled with accuracy and decision-making as well. So something has got to change. I don't know both these kids are young. I get it. I know. But back to expectations with Tedford at coach, quarterbacks, and things like that, I expect better play. And,
yeah,
so anyways, that's my thought on all of that. It was not good at the quarterback position. And no thanks to the O-line, I should add. Running the ball, Malik Sherrod carried it 13 times for 51 yards. He did have a touchdown. Logan carried it 4 times for 13 yards and a touchdown. By the way, that touchdown was very cool. I thought he looked very athletic, and I thought it was good. I liked it. Jonathan Arsenault got 2 carries for no yards, and Elijah Gilliam got 1 carry for no yards, and Jalen Gill had a carry on Caleb Pletz's favorite play for -2 yards. And Mikey Keene was credited with a carry on his sack for -8. It was not good. We scored our 2 touchdowns running the ball, but one was a broken play that Logan Fife made a great play out of. And then the other one was Malik Sherrod. He only had 51 yards, Caleb. We were talking, he needed to have 100 yards this game. Shoot. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt looked like an All-American, ran for 204 yards and 2 touchdowns. Okay, well, I'll touch on them later. Let's talk about our running game. I guess I should add on this one as well. No thanks to our O-line. Is that okay? Can I add that?
Yeah, I think so. And we should factor into third down efficiency, which was pretty poor. Dogs were 4 for 13 on the day. So not being able to sustain drives, we're not going to be able to keep the offense on the field and try to figure something out and get our running back more carries. So that's a problem. And in terms of time of possession, 40 minutes for the Lobos and 20 minutes for the Dogs. So that's two-thirds to one-third. Usually 2/3 is going to win the game in those situations.
Yeah. There was a play where I don't know if it was one of their D tackles or DN. He made a nice move, went right around our guy. And I don't remember which offensive lineman it was. And they talked about him like he was this great D lineman. I don't keep up with New Mexico football. Maybe he is amazing. But there's no reason that a guy should come off the ball and touch you and go and then hit him. No reason that quick, unless you're a pro, and he wasn't. So, it was rough. Here's my other thing, Caleb. You should be able to run block against a 3-3-5, no matter what, and especially how New Mexico does it. So if you noticed, sometimes, most of the time, they only had 2 guys down in a stance to rush the passer. Other times, they're bluffing here and there. They got a bunch of guys standing up. The nice thing about that, when you're run blocking, you can get off the ball and run full speed, right? Go hit them. But if you're zone blocking, just go hit whoever's in your zone. We didn't do that. It should be easy to run block against that. The argument is, well, they're coming full speed at you. Yeah, but they don't know what's coming. If you're zone blocking, I would like to see zone blocking against that. That's where an offensive lineman just has a zone and go hit whoever's in that zone. Go do that. Run full speed and crush them. It should not be hard. And we struggled to do anything on the offensive line. And so I think it's almost easier to run block against that defensive scheme, but I guess not. I don't know. All right. Receiving. Jalen Moss had 1 catch for 53 yards. It was a nice one. Mac Delaney had 2 receptions for 39. Trey Watson had 4 for 38. Jalen Gill had 2 for 18. Eric Brooks, 5 for 17. Tim Greer had 1 for 8. Artis Cole had 1 for 7. And Malik Sherrod had 1 for 3. We talked about Eric Brooks needs to get targets. He led the team in targets with 5, only 17 yards, though, long of 8. Would have had more if Mikey didn't underthrow him. And then we talked about Trey being targeted more. He was the second most targeted receiver on this team with 4. I don't know I guess I'm going to say it all year. Trey's open most of the time. It was the biggest mismatch, Caleb. What did you see from the receiving game? Did you watch them running routes and things like that?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying about Trey. We've been saying it all year. He's a solid target. He's big. He can make the catches in traffic. And the drives where we scored, I think Trey had a catch on each drive. We'll probably need to fact check that. But yeah, it's just very frustrating. In terms of Eric Brooks, he took this loss hard. As I was walking out of the stadium, I mean, he was still sitting on the bench on the sideline, and most of the team was walking up to the locker room at that point. So he was taking it hard. So I know that he's one of those guys. He and Mac, at least if we're talking about the wide receiver room, those 2 guys have their hearts in this, and it's tough. It doesn't seem like it's a route running issue because I think our guys are open. It's a matter of the quarterback getting the ball to the guy that's open, and that's kind of where it's falling short right now.
Yeah. Our wide receivers are good. They're open. All of them are, I don't remember a drop. Usually we're due for 1 drop a game, but I don't remember a drop here. We just got to get the other one.
Brooks had one early.
Dang it, Brooks. All right. Anyways, let's get. I'm going to talk defensive numbers. I don't want to stay here too long because, yeah. there's a reason why. But Malachi Langley led the team in tackles with a total of 6 solos. Lavelle was next with 5. He only had 3 solos. I mean, Caleb, it was really bad. I think Lavelle got stiff-armed by Dylan Hopkins, and he legit stiff-armed. And I was thinking, oh, man. I mean, he did put Dylan out of the rest of the game. But then Dampier, their Frenchman, he's smaller than me. And he was carrying 3 defenders. I could talk, we could talk how the defense needs to improve. We already have, but we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 TFLs. We did have 2 sacks. We had 2 interceptions. 1 interception was fumbled though by Lavelle. That was an entertaining play, but it was a crushing play because then they got the ball back, even farther, pushed them back, first down. Then they went on this really long drive and scored. That was awful. That was heartbreaking right there.
Yeah, I think that might be the play of the game, and not in a good way. If Lavelle doesn't fumble or even scores on that play, we might be talking about a Fresno State victory, because I think that takes some of the wind out of New Mexico's sails and maybe get some more confidence for the defense where they can kind of patch it together. And then we're putting points on the board without having to use the offense, which at this point is looking like what we're going to have to do. So I think that's the play of the game, not to jump ahead here, but that turned it away from Fresno State's favor.
I agree with you. Well, that's where I would go with my play of the game. The other thing is special teams. We missed a field goal.
Yep.
Left hash, 42 outside of 30 yards. Caleb, we usually miss from, I'd say 35 yards. We always miss from the left hash. We talked about how we haven't really talked about special teams that much because we've been so good. Dylan missed a 42-yarder in the first quarter. What else happened? Anything else? No, we were perfect on PATs. He did hit a 44-yarder from the right hash.
Mm-hmm.
And punting, Carson punted the ball 6 times, down 3 inside the 20. Anything you got to say about special teams?
Yeah, I mean, at least kicking wise, it was fine. The punt coverage team was fine. Missing from the left hash, that's all right. I mean, I'm used to it at this point, so I didn't have the high expectations there. And even if we make that, we still lose by 5 points. So it's not really a game changer there. But yeah, special teams was average.
Yeah. On Lavelle's return, so if you guys are football guys, you put the ball in your outside hand when you carry the ball. And Lavelle had it on his inside. Little things. Maybe it doesn't make a difference. I don't know, but it makes it a lot tougher on that guy because he's got to go, his weak side, his left hand, if he was a righty, he's got to go to punch that out. Lavelle held in his right hand. I know it's defense, and those are little things, but that's sort of the first thing that my brain goes to is put it on your other hand. And yeah, Bulldogs, Bob adds he wanted him to go down. I agree. It gets exciting though when you get an interception. I get it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Some other team stats. We were 4 for 13 on third down. We did convert our 1 fourth down. Total yards, though, we had 230 to their 528. Awful. We had the same amount of yards passing. Identical, 183. Rushing the ball, though, we had 47 total yards on the ground. They had 345. We had 1 penalty for 5 yards. They had 11. They are one of the most penalized teams in the country. They had 11 penalties for 97 yards, and they threw 2 interceptions, and they still won the game.
And in the first half, they burned 3 timeouts to stop delays of games. So,
yeah. This was a rough one, dude. It was bad. I guess it can only get better.
I don't know. I mean, San Diego State can operate a similar offense to what New Mexico just ran. So it's definitely not a guarantee that the Dogs walk over San Diego State. If they love Brady Hoke as a coach, they're going to try to play hard for him in his last game because they aren't going bowling. So that's their final game of the year. Based off of what I watched in San Diego State's game against San Jose, a lot of heavy formations, running the ball and running off tackle and running it with Maiden, their quarterback. So there's going to have to be an adjustment going forward. So I don't think it's all uphill from here or all up from here.
You make a very good point. Yeah. Oh boy. Here we go. Our boys better be ready because San Diego, it's a rivalry game. We're playing for a trophy.
Yeah.
This means something. And well, I'll say this, if we won this game, I would think a lot of Fresno State fans make the trip down to San Diego. I think this really hurts now. What do you think?
Yeah, I saw a lot of people talking online saying, I bought my tickets to the San Diego State game a month ago or a month and a half ago, and now I don't want to go, and it's going to be a terrible game, and regretting that they bought the ticket. So I think overall attendance for the game is going to be very low because what San Diego State fan is going to be there? None.
Yeah, exactly. That stadium might be completely empty. I hope not, but it's man. All right, Caleb, before we get to our play of the game and our player of the game, can you hit some of our sponsors for us?
Absolutely. First, we want to thank Flora Flower Co. Their local flower shop. They're modern and unique. They support local growers, which is awesome. And they're your one-stop shop for gifts. So like we mentioned, holidays are here. So if you're needing a gift for someone special in your life, definitely think of Flora Flower Co. In person, their store hours Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6. They're located on Shepherd and Willow. You can also order online, and they have subscriptions. So where they get flowers coming every month. If you go in store, they do have a florist there that can help you create something special. And you can use the code Fresno15 for 15% off. That works in store and online. And so we definitely want to thank Flora Flower Co. for their support this football season. We also want to thank Manage X. They're a full-service property management company here in Fresno, Clovis area. They service single-family homes, small apartment complexes, office, and industrial properties. And they've been in business since 1978, and they're big supporters of Fresno State and Beware of Bulldogs. So if you're needing property management services, you can check out their website, managex.net.
All right, Caleb, player of the game. Who you got?
I mean, I feel terrible doing this, but I think we have to give it to Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt with New Mexico because he just ran all over us. Like you said, he looked like an All-American. And I looked him up. He just transferred into New Mexico this year. Previously, he was at Alabama State. So it's not like he's coming from some powerhouse program, but he sure looked like he belonged in, I guess a better team than New Mexico. That's for sure.
Ja'Cory averaged 10 yards a carry.
Yeah, that's absurd. And he broke one, his long was 50, but for the most part, it was, 7 to 12 yard chunks every time. I feel like his yards per carry was actually pretty accurate. Like that, he was getting 10 yards carry.
Yeah. And we on our get to know, Mr. Portnoy mentioned like Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. When you watch him, you're going to think he looks like an NFL back. He does. Or at least he runs like one.
Yeah.
He does. He's not. He will go around you. He will go through you. He runs full speed every time he touches the ball. Not to mention that we didn't have anyone there in the hole, so he only had to beat one or two guys. But yeah, I hate to say it, Caleb, but yeah, this is the first one of the season. He's going to the other team. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, player of the game. Play of the game, I think we already mentioned it. That interception by Lavelle Bailey, and then they forced the fumble on that same play. That took the wind out of the sails it changed the entire game.
No arguments there. I think we're at the point where hopefully we can flush it and forget it. We need to move on and still finish strong. This team can still get 10 wins, which would be a huge accomplishment for any team in Division I football. So hopefully we can flush it, forget it, move on to San Diego State, and hopefully beat them angrily.
If we beat San Diego State angrily and win in convincing fashion in the bowl game, Caleb, do you think people remember this loss? And that will be the last thing, and then we don't have to talk about this anymore.
That's a good question. I mean, if we're taking on like Tulsa in the Potato Bowl, I don't think people are really caring about that matchup and that win. I think that at least we'll be ending on a strong point and say, okay, we got 10 wins, finish the season with 2 wins. But this one stings. The Wyoming game stings. So, yeah, I don't know. I think there's still going to be a lot of people that are unhappy.
I agree. I think this one's going to be a tough one to forget. Let's move on, though, Caleb. And let's talk about what you did today. You went to the jersey retirement for Aaron Judge and Mike Batesel. Tell us about that. How was it?
Yeah, it was really good. Good turnout. A lot of former players there on the field and family there with the 2 men that were being honored. So they both actually shared, which was nice. Coach Batesel actually shared, personal stuff, which, maybe being away, this is kind of giving them some freedom to express that. So it was good. I feel like this was good for the program and kind of getting some closure on, that era of baseball, and hopefully kind of releasing Overland to be his own head coach and make the program, or take the program where he wants to. So overall, I think it was good turnout from the crowd. My only gripe was they charged $5 to park in the red lot for a free event, which just,
What?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. And I mean, I guess they have a captive audience, so you had to pay. But that was really frustrating. But other than that, it was a really nice time. They had the the championship game from 2008 playing while we were waiting for the ceremony to start. So overall, I think it was well done. Yeah, it was a good day.
Yeah, Bulldogs Bob says Batesel looks completely unrecognizable. I was going to add that. You could tell Montana really had an effect on him. There must not be any barbers in Montana. He's getting close to. He's next on the list to become Santa Claus. Batesel is.
Yeah, I mean he definitely got the mountain man look. And Judge, on the other hand, looks like a $3 million or $300 million man, or however much he makes, because he was well dressed and well put together, which is what you'd expect from the captain of the New York Yankees.
Right. One of the things I noticed, you might get a kick out of this, is as I'm sitting on my couch watching the game, getting all these photos on social media about Aaron Judge being there, and I mean everyone is trying to get a picture of Judge. Poor Aaron Judge. I mean, I honestly feel bad for him. Everybody's trying to get a photo with him. I even saw photos they took a photo of their phone taking a photo of Aaron Judge. That is absolutely ridiculous. Please put your phone down. Why can't we just take a photo of Aaron Judge? Why do we have to take a photo of our phone taking a photo of Aaron? And that was posted on Fresno State Athletics, by the way. I thought it was hilarious. I couldn't believe it. What I learned last night is that I am doing social media wrong, Caleb. I don't do a good job in the first place of doing social media and taking photos and things like that. I just don't think about taking a photo. I just live in the moment, like most people. But I could take a photo of literally anything, and it's content. It's just get it out there, man. So next time we're at a game together, I'm just going to take a photo of you taking a photo of somebody, and I'm going to post it.
Yeah, I'm sure that people will like to see that. To answer Bob's question, there was actually an inter-squad scrimmage after the ceremony. I didn't stay for it, but there was an opportunity for Bulldog fans to take a look at the 24 team, which I think the team's shaping up to be pretty good. A lot of the stars are coming back. Tommy Hoffey, Murph Gray, and a couple of transfer portal additions that are probably going to be contributors right away. So lots to look forward to for baseball. And, as we're winding down on football, we got basketball and baseball to look forward to now. And, Caleb, you can give the basketball update. But, at least with baseball, I'm optimistic for this 24 season.
I am too. Murph, I'm hearing good things about Murph, man. He's legit. I mean, we knew that last year, but I'm excited to watch him, a year after some growth, the weight room. I'm really excited to watch Murph. I saw Hit or Die was in here. I don't know if Jake's in here anymore, but they probably know a little more. And by the way, I talked to Jake. I think we're going to do a little Hit or Die Border Bulldogs mashup for baseball season, so they can help us out too.
Perfect.
Basketball, we got a game Tuesday. Cancun Challenge against New Mexico State. New Mexico State's not the same New Mexico State that they were in the past. They're not winning the WAC, all the time. They compete, but they're not that same team anymore. So I hope it's competitive. It's Fresno State basketball. You don't know what you're going to get. You're going to get real slow offense. That's even though we should be playing fast. That's you're going to get that. But are you going to get a night where Isaiah Hill shoots 7 for 7 from the 3-point line, or does he shoot 1 for 7? And does Xavier Ducell help him out? We don't know. We just don't know yet. So it should be a lot of fun. That's Tuesday against New Mexico State, and Cole and I will have the recap on that. And if Caleb watches the game, then he'll join us.
Yep.
You can go listen to the Morgan State recap. Cole and I talk about the New Mexico State game and where you can find it and all those things. Unless you have it right now, Caleb. Do you have that? No.
Actually, Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. on CBS Sportsnet. All right. We can watch it easily, and so can America. So we will see how well this team handles traveling down to Mexico. That usually is not a good combination, but we'll find out.
Yes, Bob. Are we going to do any basketball postgame shows live? Once football ends, we will do basketball shows live once a week, just like this. But right now, we're getting Cole into the swing of things. Because I don't edit what we say out, but I don't know if Cole's going to change and be a completely different person once I hit live, because that does happen sometimes. People will completely change. But what I can guarantee you is that Plutz and I are 100% authentic all the time, and I don't cut any of this out. So, football though, big game Saturday, last game of the regular season in San Diego State, and yes, it will stay on Sundays, Bob. That recap, that live recap, be like a weekly recap, and we're gonna do our best if things are going poorly to really be positive. That is my promise to you guys. We're really trying to be positive. The San Diego State, we are going to have our guys, Sons of Montezuma. We're going to get. And last year I dropped the ball. I was not there. Was it last year, Caleb? And I left you to do it.
Yep, that was we were kind of drifting hostless for that episode, and I think it went okay, but it was definitely a different experience without having you at the helm.
So I haven't got to talk to them yet. I'm excited. So I've talked to them a little bit, but so Sons of Montezuma will be on for the get to know, and we'll preview the game after that, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We will talk to you guys soon. Caleb, anything else about this game? Are we done with it? Anything else you got to cover?
I just want to encourage everyone, stay with this team. There's still a lot to play for, and it is still a good season. We could be like Boise and be 500 and have fired our coach. So it is definitely still a good year, and hopefully this team can bounce back and then finish strong and hopefully finish with 10 wins. I think that would be a really strong finish for this team.
I think it's even we could be like Air Force, start out real strong and that not even play for Mountain West Conference Championship. Nothing set in stone yet. There's still a lot that can happen in the Mountain West, at least. So there's multiple teams available or vying for a Mountain West Conference Championship. All right, Mr. Pletz, thank you so much once again. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you guys later this week. One more regular season recap, and then we got the bowl recap live, and then we will be doing basketball. Stay safe, everybody. Stay healthy. God bless. And as always, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.